And for more on how social media and tech have influenced New York Fashion Week, I spoke with writer and entrepreneur Natalie Zfat, and I began by asking her what new trends in social media have been emerging in this Fashion Week.
One of my favorite things to see this week was how some brands chose to actually skip the runway show and launch their collection via Instagram stories, which of course is the new feature that Instagram launched earlier this summer. So a couple of different brands, including Ygale Azrawell and J. Mendel, actually did that. They scheduled to have their shows launched via Instagram. They actually spent some money curating music and original soundtracks. J. Mendel's creative director, Gilles Mendel, actually had the Smashing Pumpkins' Billy Corrigan create a unique soundtrack for his Instagram story show. So it's really nice to see brands really leveraging social to make sure their collection gets out.
Well, Natalie, Intel was an official partner of New York Fashion Week. What's the significance there?
Yeah, well, Intel partnered with Samsung this Fashion Week to actually showcase 13 designers' shows virtual reality-wise, though. So actually, it was really nice that the public could come in and, using their Samsung phone and Intel's technology, actually watch the show and very much feel like they were a part of it.
Designers like Minkoff used this virtual reality feature. Was it successful? Do you think it worked out well?
I think Rebecca Minkoff is really one of the pioneers in technology in the fashion space for sure. What she did this week was really interesting, in my opinion. She actually had her show on the streets of New York, just outside of her Soho shop. And so people could actually watch from all over New York, which was really nice. And what she also did was she had 5 bloggers walk in her show. And what those bloggers did in addition to walking was tweet and snap and Instagram their journey. And what's really cool is that the Rebecca Minkoff team shared that after that show, people came into the store, people shopped, people took selfies with those bloggers, and they reported actually having double the amount of revenue that they did that same day in September last year, and as well as 50% more sales on e-commerce.
So do you think the virtual reality way of showcasing fashion on the runway, is this a fad, or do you think this is going to become a permanent fixture adopted by lots of other designers in lots of future fashion weeks?
You know, virtual reality is definitely something that we've seen on the rise. Like I said, 13 designers did debut that collection exclusively to VR via Samsung and Intel. We haven't seen any sales that have proven that it is definitely going to be something that is a fixture. But I think for now, it's definitely a talking point. It's definitely something that's keeping brands on the tip of everyone's tongue.
With social media and tech taking such a big role, who and what is being made obsolete and irrelevant now?
I mean, I think what's really interesting is that runway shows are becoming less and less. You know, runway shows are expensive. The average runway show costs a designer between $200,000 and $1 million to do. And that doesn't even count for the $100,000 they would pay celebrities to sit in the front row. So what we're seeing more and more of are designers who are either abandoning that format or really trying to make back the money in other ways via social.
But on the other hand, we are seeing a backlash. We had some of the biggest names in fashion, like Diane von Furstenberg, Kate Spade, Derek Lam, not holding public shows this Fashion Week. Instead, they had private appointments with select editors and select buyers. And the argument being made is that because social media is so mainstream, it just becomes too much part of the noise. And if you want to be exclusive, you avoid it and go private. What's your take on that?
I really think that any brand that avoids social media is being short-sighted. Fashion is such a visual industry and is one that lends itself so well to social media. I really think that, you know, Diane von Furstenberg is a pioneer, right? We remember, of course, when she partnered with Google in 2012 for the Google Glass, and she's definitely a person who embraces technology. I think Google is actually coming into the fold very nicely again this Fashion Week with Google Search, which, of course, they have reactivated for Fashion Week, which is always nice to see. So Google this year is actually allowing people who are searching for certain designers to see not only the list of search results you would typically see when you Google someone, but actually some human results, right? So they can see photos and live videos from the runway shows. So I think there's always that position for online to really help enhance the offline experience.